Welcome to State Engineering Service Examination SSCJ section of Winds of Change. For any problem, you can mail us at windsofchange2020@gmail.com, and to download the study material, you can download the app of Winds of Change from the Google Play Store, and the link of which is being given in the description box. Welcome to fourth and last video of top 120 questions of IS 456 and RCC. In this video, we will cover question number 91 to 120. So let's begin. Question number 91. If the loading on the pre-stressed rectangular beam is uniformly distributed, the tendon to be provided should be straight below the centroidal axis, parabolic with convexity downward, parabolic with convexity upward, or straight above centroidal axis. Just think about it. Here we are talking about the pre-stressed rectangular beam. The load is uniformly distributed, then the profile of the tendon has to be, just think about it, it has to be parabolic with convexity downward. Okay, it looks like this. The convexity will be downward, so tendon will be provided like this in case of the uniform loading above it. Okay, eccentricity will be maximum at the midspan. Next question. A pre-stressed concrete member is preferred because its dimensions are not decided from the diagonal tensile stress. Large size of long beams carrying large shear force need not be adopted. Removal of the cracks in the member due to shrinkage, or all of the above. Why we prefer the pre-stressed concrete member? What are the reasons to prefer the pre-stressed concrete member? Just think about it. The answer will be all of the above. First of all, the dimension. Its dimension are not decided from the diagonal tensile stresses. Okay, and the larger size of the long beams carrying large shear force need not be adopted. The size of the beam is being of the smaller size, and mainly the force will be taken by the pre-stress member. And the removal of cracks in the member due to shrinkage, okay, due to pre-stressing. So these are few of the reasons. There are various other reasons that you should know, but these are the ones which are not being discussed. That is why it is being kept in the question. Next question. The minimum headroom over the stair must be 200 cm, 205 cm, 210 cm, or 230 cm. Just think about it. This is the clear headroom above the stair. The minimum value of it has to be 210 cm, that is option C. Okay, this is the headroom. Let's say there is an obstacle, or it is the floor or some other stair above it like this. So the minimum headroom, that is the vertical distance that has to be provided, the clear spacing, it has to be 210 centimeter. Okay, approximately 200 centimeter or 210 centimeter is being taken. Next question. If the width of the foundation for two equal columns is restricted, the shape of the footing generally adopted is square, rectangular, trapezoidal, or triangular. It is an easy question. Two equal columns, there is two equal columns, and the width of the foundation is restricted, so we have to join these two columns together. Since the load is equal on both of these, so we will not go for trapezoidal section, we will go for the rectangular one. Okay, so option B will be the correct answer. It looks like this, where these two columns are of equal size. Next question. Design of RCC simply supported beam carrying UDL is based on the resultant bending moment at support, midspan, every section, or quarter span. Since the design is based on the resultant bending moment, so we have to find out where the bending moment will be maximum. Okay, so maximum value of the bending moment has to be at the midspan, that is option B will be the correct one. Okay, memorize it, it is an easy question. Next question. The minimum number of the main steel bars provided in RCC. For rectangular column it is 4, for circular column it is 6, octagonal column it is 8, or all of the above. Just think about it. The answer will be all of the above, and we have to memorize it. It is very important. For rectangular column, the minimum number of the main steel bar that has to be provided, it is 4. For circular column it is 6, in which helical reinforcement is provided, and in octagonal column it is 8. So memorize it. Next question. The shear reinforcement in RCC is provided to resist vertical shear, horizontal shear, diagonal compression or diagonal tension. Here we are talking about the shear reinforcement in RCC. Shear reinforcement is provided to resist diagonal tension. Memorize it. Okay, diagonal tension we have to resist by providing the shear reinforcement. Next question. In a slab, the pitch of the main reinforcement should not exceed its effective depth 3 times, 4 times, 5 times or 2 times. In case of the slab, the distance between the main reinforcement that should not exceed effective depth into 3, 4 or 5 or 2. Just think about it. The answer will be option A, that is 3 times. Okay. The distance between the main reinforcement that has to be the maximum of 3 times diameter or 300 mm, whichever is lower value. Okay, that has to be adopted. Next question. If A is the sectional area of the pre-stressed rectangular beam provided with the tendon pre-stressed by force P through its centroidal longitudinal axis, the compressive stress in the concrete is. It is the case in which the rectangular beam is there and the pre-stress is provided with force P throughout the centroidal longitudinal axis. So compressive stress in the concrete, that has to be P by A or A by P or P upon 2A or 2A upon P. Just think about it. Very easy question. Since it is being provided along the centroidal axis, so there will not be any eccentricity. So that value has to be the 0 because E is 0. So there will be only compressive stress, that is because of the pre-stressing force of P. So the compressive stress in the concrete, that will be P upon A. That is option A will be correct. Very easy question. It looks like P upon A, and if there is moment then it will be M upon Z. Since there is no eccentricity, so this value will be 0 here. Next question. In a singly reinforced beam, if the permissible stress in concrete reaches earlier than that in steel, the beam section is called under reinforced, over reinforced, economic or critical section. This is also an easy question. If the permissible stress in concrete reaches earlier than steel, that means the steel reaches after concrete. So yielding of steel will not occur in it. So this section will be called over reinforced section. Okay. And this section has to be avoided. Next question. A flat slab is supported on beams, on columns, on beams and columns, on columns monolithically built with slab. Just think about it. Definition of flat slab. What is defined? What it defines? Usually the slab is being provided in which it is a mixture of beams and columns. But we are talking about the flat slab. So in case of the flat slab, the condition will be the column monolithically built with the slab. Okay, this is the condition of the flat slab. Here there is no beams. Okay, there is column, but it will be monolithically built with the slab. Okay, so this is the condition of the flat slab. Memorize it. Next question. If SB is the average bond stress on a bar of diameter D subjected to a maximum stress T, the length of the embedment L is given by L equal to dt by SB, L equal to dt by 2SB, L equal to dt by 3SB or L equal to dt by 4SB. So here we have to find out the length of embedment. Okay, this is an easy question. In IS 456, this SB is denoted by tau BD, that is the average bond stress. Okay, and this L embedment length, it is being denoted by LD, that is development length. Okay, and maximum stress is denoted by 0.87 Fy or sigma. So the answer will be option D, that is dt by 4SB. It is denoted like this. Development length of the bar is given by dia into sigma s upon 4 tau BD. Okay, where sigma s is the stress in the bar at the section considered at design load. Next question. The minimum thickness of the cover at the end of the reinforcing bar should not be less than twice the diameter of the bar subjected to a minimum of 10 mm, 15 mm, 20 mm or 25 mm. We are talking about the minimum thickness of the cover at the end of the reinforcing bar. Let's say it is a beam like this. This is the member and there is a reinforcing bar which is going like this, maybe at the bottom. Okay, so this distance which is left one, this cover, what the value of this cover will be? This has to be minimum value either twice the diameter of this bar, or another criteria has to be minimum of 25 mm. That is option D will be correct. Okay, memorize it. It is important. Next question. The spacing of the stirrups in a rectangular beam is kept constant throughout the length, decreased towards the center of the beam, increased at the ends, or increased at the center of the beam. Just think about it. Stirrups are used to resist the shear stresses in a beam. Okay, now shear stress will be maximum at the support, near the support, and it will be minimum at the center. So where the stirrups will be required? The stirrup will be required more at the ends, near the ends, and minimum value of it will be required at center. Okay, so it will be, so the spacing will be increased at the center of the bottom. Okay, that is option D will be correct. The spacing will look like this at the center. Spacing will be very high, spacing of the reinforcement, spacing of the stirrups, and at the near the support the spacing will be very low. Okay, next question. An RCC beam not provided with shear reinforcement may develop crack in the bottom inclined roughly to the horizontal at 25 degree, 35 degree, 45 degree, or 55 degree. In case in the RCC beam the shear reinforcement, that is stirrups, are not provided, then there is a possibility of development of the crack in the bottom of the RCC member. So that crack has to be inclined to the horizontal at which angle? Just think about it. Very easy question. There will be diagonal tension that will be developed and the diagonal crack will develop in it. So it will be at the angle of 45 degree. That is option C will be correct. Okay, these are the diagonal cracks that will develop. Next question. On an absolutely rigid foundation base, the pressure will be more at the edges of the foundation, will be uniform, not be uniform, but be zero at the center of the foundation. Just think about it. In case of the absolutely rigid foundation base, the pressure will be, just think about it, the diagram of pressure, we have studied it in the soil mechanics. It will depend upon the, either it is cohesive soil or it is cohesionless soil. So in both the cases there will be the different type of the pressure distribution. Okay, so the answer will be option C, that is it should not be uniform. We cannot be sure about it. In case of the cohesionless soil, it will look like this. Okay, the pressure will be maximum at the center and zero at the ends or minimum at the ends. In case of the rigid footing with cohesive soil, the pressure at the center will be minimum and at the edges it will be maximum. So we cannot be sure about it. If the condition of the soil is being given here, then only we can be sure. Okay, next question. In a cantilever retaining wall without a heel slab, thickness of the stem is kept same throughout. Base slab is made 10 cm thicker than the stem. Width of the base slab is kept 0.7 times the total height of the wall or all of the above. In case of the cantilever retaining wall without a heel slab, if the heel slab is not provided, then what conditions has to be adopted? The answer will be all of the above. Okay, this is the condition of cantilever wall without heel slab. Okay, here you can see heel slab. In this case also there is heel slab, but in this one there is no heel slab. You can see here. So in this, the thickness of the stem is kept same throughout. First of all, the base slab is made 10 cm thicker than the stem. This base slab is kept 10 cm thicker than the stem, and width of the base slab is kept 0.7 times the total height of the wall. This width of the base, that has to be 0.7 times of the height of the wall. Okay, so memorize it. Next question. For a number of the columns restricted in a row, the type of the foundation provided is footing, raft, strap, or strip footing. Here there are so many columns, but these are columns are being placed in a row. Okay, in a single line. If there are so many columns are being provided, then we will connect it, or we will provide the foundation in which form? Just think about it. We will provide the columns or the foundation in the form of strip footing. Okay, strip footing in which many columns they are being placed on a single line. Okay, and they are being connected together. Next question. If the ratio of the span to overall depth does not exceed 7, the stiffness of the beam will ordinarily be satisfied in a case of simply supported beam, continuous beam, cantilever beam, or none of these. Here, span to overall depth ratio that does not exceed 7. Okay, that is L by D ratio that does not exceed 7. Very easy question. This is the case of cantilever beam, that is option C will be correct. Okay, for cantilever beam this ratio is 7, for continuous beam this ratio is 26, memorize it, and for simply supported beam this ratio is 20. Okay, next question. The main reinforcement in the heel of a T-shaped reinforced concrete retaining wall is provided on top face perpendicular to wall, bottom face perpendicular to wall, both top and bottom face perpendicular to wall, or none of the above. The case of the heel slab in case of T-shaped RCC retaining wall, where the main reinforcement will be provided. Just think about it. We have already discussed this question somewhere in the previous videos. Here, the main reinforcement will be provided on the top face perpendicular to the wall. Okay, you can see here, this is the heel slab. Okay, in this, the main reinforcement is this one. Okay, this reinforcement is perpendicular to the face of the wall. Okay, and it will be provided in the top section of it. So memorize it, where the reinforcement will be provided in each and every case. Okay, in case of the toe slab, you can see here that main reinforcement is provided in the bottom, and in case of the stem, this main reinforcement is provided in the vertical direction if the surcharge is from this direction. Okay, if the surcharge is being here, then we will provide reinforcement at this face near to the surcharge. Next question. If diameter of the reinforcement bar is D, the anchorage value of the hook is 4D, 8D, 12D, or 16D. Just think about it. Diameter of reinforcement bar is D, then the anchorage value has to be, in case of the hook, you know the hook. Okay, in case of the hook, the anchorage value that has to be 16D. That is option D will be correct, and memorize it. Next question. The effective span of simply supported slab is distance between the center of the bearings, clear distance between the inner faces of the walls plus twice the thickness of the wall, or clear span between the effective depth of the slab, or none of these. Just think about it. In case of the simply supported slab, what will be the effective span? The answer will be option B. This has to be the clear distance between the inner faces of the wall, first of all, plus twice the thickness of the wall. Okay, so memorize it. It is also important. Next question. Piles are usually driven by diesel operated hammer, drop hammer, single acting stem hammer, or single acting steam hammer, or all of the above. Just think about it. Piles are usually driven by, answer will be all of the above. It can be driven either by diesel operated hammer or drop hammer or single acting steam hammer. Okay, it is a question from soil mechanics also, but it is being placed here. Next question. Which of the following statement is incorrect? Minimum cross sectional area of the longitudinal reinforcement in a column is 0.8%, which we know that it is a correct statement. Spacing of the longitudinal bars measured along the periphery of the column should not exceed 300 mm. 300 mm is the maximum spacing of the longitudinal bar. So I think it is also correct. Reinforcing bar in a column should not be less than 12 mm in the diameter, which is also correct because 12 mm is the minimum diameter that has to be provided in case of the column. And the number of the longitudinal bars provided in a circular column should not be less than 4. This one is an incorrect statement. Okay, so option D will be here correct. This is an incorrect statement. Why it is so? Because in case of the circular column, there will be helical reinforcement that has to be provided for stirrups, and the minimum number of the main bars that has to be minimum 6. Okay, memorize it. In case of the circular column it has to be 6, in case of the rectangular column it has to be 4, in case of the octagonal column it has to be 8. Minimum diameter of the bar that has to be provided is 12 mm for longitudinal bars, and the reinforcement will be minimum 0.8% of gross sectional area and maximum 6%. This is very important for column. Next question. The maximum ratio of span to depth of a slab simply supported and spanning in two directions is 25, 30, 35 or 40. We are talking about the slab that is simply supported. Okay, in case of the simply supported slab, the span to the depth ratio that has to be maximum of 35. That is option C will be correct. Okay, in case of the simply supported slab it is 35. In case of continuous slab this ratio is 40. Okay, and for HYSD bar of FE415 these values that given here, this should be multiplied by 0.8. Okay, so memorize it, and this is applicable only for the shorter span less than 3.5 meter. Okay, and for loading class up to 3 kilonewton per meter square. These are few conditions which should also be memorized here. Next question. Pre-stress loss due to friction occurs only in post-tension beam, only in pre-tension beam, in both post-tension and pre-tension beam, or none of the above. Just think about it. Due to friction, the friction loss that will occur in, very easy question, friction loss does occur only in the post tension beam, so option A will be the correct one. Okay, memorize it. Next question. If the depth of actual neutral axis of a doubly reinforced beam is greater than depth of the critical neutral axis, the concrete attains its maximum stress earlier. Is less than depth of critical neutral axis, the steel in the tensile zone attains maximum shear stress earlier. Is equal to the depth of critical neutral axis, the concrete and steel attains their maximum stress simultaneously, or all of the above. Just think about it. If the depth of the neutral axis of a doubly reinforced beam. Okay, very easy question. All the criteria are already being mentioned here, and these are the true criteria. So the answer will be D, that is all of the above. Okay, and memorize these. Okay, these are very important. If the depth of the neutral axis, if this depth of neutral axis is greater than depth of critical neutral axis, okay, then the concrete will attain its maximum stress earlier. If it is less than depth of critical neutral axis, then steel will be yield first. Okay, and if it is equal to critical neutral axis, then both will be attaining maximum stress simultaneously. So it is very easy question. Next question. The limit of the percentage P of the longitudinal reinforcement in a column is given by 0.15% to 2%, 0.8% to 4%, 0.8% to 6%, or 0.8% to 8%. We have already discussed this in one of the question earlier. This limit should be 0.8% to 6%. That is option C will be correct. In the first video of this series of IS 456 and RCC, there was a question in which it is being asked that which statement are correct, in which it was mentioned that 0.8% to 8% is the limit of the percentage of longitudinal reinforcement. In that question, the other answers were not near to any value of the real answer, so exact answer. So that is why it was preferred as 0.8% to 8%, but the actual data that has to be 0.8% to 6%. So memorize it. Okay, in which there is condition that is this value is not given, then you can go for other option only. But if the none of the above is the option, then you will prefer that one. Next question. Most common method of the pre-stressing used for the factory production is long line method, Freyssinet system, Magnell-Burton system, or Lee-McCall system. Just think about it. Most common method of the pre-stressing used for the factory production is, it will be long line method or the Hoyer system that will be used in case of the factory production, that is for the mass scale work. We use the long line method. Okay, memorize it. Next question. For the design of the retaining wall, the minimum factor of safety against the overturning is taken as 1.5, 2, 2.5 or 3. For overturning, okay, there are two conditions, either sliding or overturning in case of the retaining wall. For sliding, this factor of safety is taken as 1.5, and for overturning, this factor of safety will be taken as 2. So memorize it. This value is very important. Okay, so here we will finish with all the 120 questions of IS 456 RCC and pre-stressed concrete, and you can revise these subjects from the link in the description box that is being given here. It is being uploaded on this channel only, and we will come up with other subjects also for exams of UPPSC, BPSC, SSC, JEE or MPPSC or other state services examination. So stay updated, stay tuned and subscribe to this channel.